So it's actually kind of funny. The band kind of made fun of me because we actually signed on my birthday.
Oh, rad.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. So
well, I'm Adam, by the way. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Real quick, it's Kingdom of Us, but how is it? What do you guys go by, like KOU or?
Yeah, it's like KOU, like, you know how it's the normal English word is COUP. Like if you're running a coup on another like a battle against someone.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
KOU. Rad.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, because I know obviously it's an acronym, but I want to make sure I was saying it right. Right on.
But the radio, it's funny, but one of my friends in radio was getting on to me and she was telling me, you should just call it Kingdom of Us.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's got like 3 different meanings. It's got KOU, which is like the abbreviation, KOU, and Kingdom of Us. So
okay. Right on. Cool. I want to make sure, especially when I'm doing the intro for you guys, I don't
yeah.
screw it up.
Yeah, I mean, Kingdom of Us is probably the easiest.
Cool.
So.
Rad. Well, this podcast is all about you, man, and your journey in music, and obviously we'll talk about the new music you have with Kingdom of Us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, feel free to dive all the way back into the red jumpsuit days and all that.
Okay, cool. I was gonna add, that was my next question, if you mind talking about it.
Oh, absolutely. We can go all the way back to when I got signed at 20 years old to Virgin, if you'd like. It's all good.
That's exactly what I would love to talk about, to be honest. The whole podcast is about your full journey, and if you don't mind, like, that's the story I would love to hear. And obviously I love what you're doing with the new record, and I want to hear about the thing you guys did with Save a Tree and what the 17 drummer thing. I was trying to find on YouTube. I couldn't find it. So maybe you can help me search it out.
Well, the reason why you couldn't find it is because each one is individual. So
okay. I didn't know if it was like a big collection together, like all at the same time, or like you edited it all together or something. I was kind of confused.
No, it was 17
countries, right?
17 countries, but it was 17 different drummers from different countries. It was actually more than that. I think there was more, like around 30, and they're all like online drum cover, like YouTube drum stars.
Rad.
Yeah, so they already do drum covers all the time. I just brought them all together and we released at the same exact time when I released the single.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so, we'll talk about all that also. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
right
on.
It was
a lot of fun.
Yeah. So the band, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus started in Florida, right?
Yeah, Jacksonville.
Are you from Jacksonville?
Born and raised. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Oh man, so I grew up in a music family. So my dad was a praise and worship leader at church. My grandma sang in the choir. You know, my uncle was a saxophone player and the band director at one of the churches. Yeah, so my mom was an alto. My sister is an alto. My cousin, she is like a praise and worship leader at a pretty big church, where she like leads worship. She has a lot of kids now, so she kind of is not doing it as much. But my whole family, my dad was a praise and worship leader. My whole family had some kind of music. I mean, even my great grandpa was a mandolin player.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's fascinating because I've talked to a lot of artists that start out performing in the church. I mean, because it's the place that you are getting exposed to, obviously, an audience, and you're being able to perform in front of people. And I just think it's so cool. Like, is that how you started? Were you in the church band or the drummer?
Actually, it's kind of cool. I've done hundreds and hundreds of interviews over the years, but I've never had an opportunity to talk about this till now. But from 13 to 19, my father was a praise and worship leader, and he brought me in as the drummer with a band of full adults. And I was 13 years old, threw me in the fire, said, learn the songs, get it right, and you'll get paid. And every week I got paid between $75 and $100. I saved up money. Yeah, I saved up all my money for 3 years from 13 to 16 and bought a Honda Civic, 1992 Honda Civic for like a few grand of my own money at 16 years old.
That's cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Dude, the first car I ever bought with my own money as well was a Civic, but it was a 95, 94, 95.
Yeah.
That's like the go-to car, man. Those things run forever.
Yeah. And at the same time, I was kind of like musically promiscuous when it comes to like, I played with like 10 different bands. That's how I got in Red Jumpsuit, because I was known as the guy. I was known as the guy you could call, like if your drummer had to go to a funeral or he got sick or his mom was like, no, you're not playing a show on a Wednesday night, that type of thing. Yeah. They could call me and I could just learn the music really fast and cover for their drummer. So I was doing like 10 different bands and playing at church all before the age of 18. Oh, and then by the time I got 18, 19 years old, I was in a local band with my high school friends called Far From Eden that did really well. And actually, it's really funny. The lead singer of that band is now a really popular country artist in Nashville, and it's Stephen Carey. And
really?
He's starting to blow up right now. Yeah, he's got millions of plays on Spotify. And we were in a band together, like when we were kids.
That's incredible.
But yeah, so anyways, to give you the full backstory real quick on how I got in Red Jumpsuit, their drummer left. And at the time, they were like one of the biggest local bands in Jacksonville, Florida. So they were selling out like between 500 and 800 capacity rooms by themselves, no management, no nothing, just hitting the streets. They were the band that every time you'd go outside of a show, their CD would be sitting on your windshield.
Really? They were the hustlers outside of every show, flyering and hooking up with demos. And wow.
So I didn't know any of this was going on, and they got the attention of a major manager / A&R guy named Steve Tramposh, who signed like a bunch of different acts back in the day. And he ended up coming on and managing them. And a few months later, the drummer left. They needed a drummer in a hurry because they had a sold out show at Freebird Live, and all the A&Rs were coming to that show.
Oh,
yeah.
It was like a showcase type.
Yeah. It was like a showcase show type of thing. So I came in, rehearsed with the band for like 4 days. And then we did that show. And right after that show, the lead singer was like, hey, you want to join the band? I'm like, yes, I'm in. Yeah, cool. This is great. This is great. And then about 6 months later, maybe even 3 to 6 months later, we're flying to New York to showcase for Capitol. We're flying to LA to showcase, and we're all like 19 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm. And that was probably around the time too when they were like, wine and dining still, right?
Yeah, they were. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they did the whole thing. They flew out and saw us rehearse in Florida. We got to meet a lot of great A&Rs. And then to make a long story short with that, we ended up signing to Virgin because our manager got hired as one of the A&Rs at Virgin under Jason Flom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we ended up signing with them. And man, it was such a great journey because they just fell in love with Face Down. They were like, this is it. Like that was a demo from like the first, for like the CDs they would put on the cars. The first song was Face Down.
Really? Yeah, I did read that they had a demo prior to that first record coming out. So that song was there, but you drummed on the record, obviously.
Yeah, I felt really blessed because when I came into the band, a lot of the songs were already written for that first record. Well, half of them were written for that first record, but the lead singer, Ronnie, was super cool. And he's like, hey man, like these are the parts that I wrote, but I want you to do like your own drum fills.
Oh, cool.
So I was able to come up with some cool little, like for example, on Face Down, going into the chorus, it was originally just, and I went, you know what I mean? So I was able to put some signature stuff in there.
Add some flavor, your own little flavor to it. That's cool. That's cool.
And then half the record we wrote in the studio. Like, I'm trying to think of the songs. I mean, it's been a long time since I talked about False Pretense wasn't written ahead of time. We wrote that in the studio. What was another one? Grim Goodbye was already written. A lot of people don't know that, but that's like the epic song from that record, the secret track.
Yeah, the secret song.
And they wrote that stuff like way before I got in the band. Because I was like the second or third drummer to come in. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was great, man. I was with them for a long time.
Yeah. And you did three records with them at least?
I did the first 3 records with them. The last one was with John Feldman, which was awesome.
Oh man. Yeah. Legend. He blew up. I mean, from 5 Seconds of Summer on, I mean, he's doing everybody now, but I mean, at the time he was probably, cutting his teeth with more of what your guys' style of music, I assume.
Man, I loved working with him because we went in on drum day. I got there at 8 a.m. and he has his own like Starbucks style coffee making machines, like the same thing you would see at Starbucks. He's got it at his house.
Really?
At the studio, yeah. So he hands me a coffee. He goes, drink this real quick. And then we did like 16 songs in 3 or 4 hours.
Wow. So you guys were working fast. Like that's fast.
Yeah. We were just like, bam, bam, bam. 2 takes, go, 2 takes, go, 2 takes, go.
I can't imagine if you weren't as like, you know, as good as you are trying to work with him, like in that environment. Like imagine if you were like kind of more green to the situation and he's like, all right, dude, you got to roll through 16 songs. You got 2 hours. You'd be like, I mean, even as a great drummer, I'm sure you were still, was that kind of overwhelming to work that quickly? Dude, or was it?
It was for me. I loved every second of it because we did like a pre-pro production drum day the day before. And basically we just went through all the songs and he recorded the entire sessions. He was talking to me. He's like, okay, you're going to do a massive fill here. And then you're going to go back to the groove that you wrote. And then you're going to do this here. And then he literally like, he goes, it's in your email. Or so, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, listen down to it tonight. And then we'll knock it out in the morning. He basically was like, I want to be doing something else by the afternoon.
Whoa.
And I was like,
all right.
I was like, I'm in.
Oh my gosh. Do you mind? I want to go back a little bit here for a second, because I'm curious, was drums the very first instrument that you learned?
Oh yeah. So when I was a kid, my dad, I was probably like 6. He tried to hand me an acoustic guitar and I handed it right back to him.
Really? Just not interested?
I was not interested. Still to this day, I play a little bit of rhythm guitar, but I'm more piano than I am guitar.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But when I was younger, my dad had a tambourine in the closet and I went missing one day. I think I was like 6 or 7. They couldn't find me. And true story, they found me in the closet and I was like hitting the tambourine with a pencil.
Really?
I had found a pencil and I was like, because I didn't know what it was. You know, I mean, he had never showed it to me. So I was like, well, I didn't try to shake it. I tried to hit it. And so he's like, all right, he's a drummer. So that he got me an old Remo drum set that year, like a used kit, I think at like 7 or 8. And from then on out, I always played drums. I drove my parents crazy because when I was like in middle school, I would come home from school at 3 and I would play till 7, 3 to 7. I learned every Green Day record. I learned the first couple of like Blink-182 records, like any record I could get my hands on.
That's so cool. Those are my favorite bands like growing up too. Like I'm from San Diego originally. I grew up right outside of Poway where the Blink guys are from. So that was like what I was into as a kid.
Yeah. That's what I did is I learned all my records and I played and then I would start bands and it was really cool. We turned our garage into like a den. That's what I guess is what you call it back then. Mm-hmm. So we closed the garage and turned it into a den. And that's what I would host all the band practices because I had the space.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Your parents are cool, man, to let you do that, to like throw practices there, let you jam out from like 3 to 7 on every day. Like,
they loved it, man. I mean, even, God rest his soul. I love my father. He passed in 2014, but he was able to come and introduce Red Jumpsuit multiple times to sold out crowds.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah. So like at the House of Blues in Orlando, he came out on stage and introduced the band and then the curtain opened.
Wow. What a special moment, I'm sure.
Yeah. So for him, that was huge. And also, I was able to basically write an album with him and it's out on like SoundCloud and stuff like that. And every Father's Day and on his birthday, I like released different songs that he put out. So
that's so cool. So he was a songwriter as well.
Yeah. He was like a Christian praise and worship artist.
Really?
So he had a band called Vision, like in the 80s in Jacksonville, Florida. And they created a little following. They were like a Christian rock band.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then after that, he was a praise and worship leader, and he also did Broadway stuff. Like he did like Jesus Christ Superstar that was put on by the church or put on locally in Florida.
Oh, wow.
So
So like coming out to like, you know, having you with so much success, that was probably huge for him. It was like him reliving like this, like well, I mean, obviously if he was a worship leader, he had a crowd, right? So he was used to the whole like, kind of conducting you know, an audience. That's cool. That's so cool.
And it ties right into this whole Kingdom of Us project, because he passed in 2014 from leukemia, but he went out, you know, I want to go ahead and say it. He went like happily. He had beaten it and gotten an extra like 2 or 3 years. And then it came back and he was like, I don't want to fight it again. He's like, just come hang out with me until I go. And he went with a smile on his face. Like, I love you guys. Enjoy your life. You know, I'll see you on the other side type thing.
Wow.
So yeah,
I'm sure still that's hard. I mean, I can't even imagine, even though, you know, at least, you know, he did it the way he wanted to do it. That's
but it's cool. 2 years later, I woke up in LA. So I moved to LA in 2015. And I went out there because like all my friends were like, dude, like come out here. You could be a music director for a pop star. You could, you know, there's a lot of things that you could do, still do drumming wise. So I went out there. And I woke up in LA 2016 and songs were just bubbling out of my spirit. They were just bubbling out of my heart. I had all these songs and I'm like, where are these songs coming from? And then finally I got an opportunity to do top line vocals for an EDM artist.
Oh, okay.
And it was just some local guy in LA. And I was like, you know what? Like, let's do this. So then I wrote that and then I played that for my friends and they were like, dude, why have you not sang before? Like, dude. And then fast forward to, I was on tour with Falling in Reverse, right? With an awesome band called Dead Girls Academy, which is Michael Vampire. He was Vampires Everywhere, which they're doing a resurgence right now.
That name sounds familiar. Dead Girls Academy. I want to say like I remember seeing them on you know that on bills. Like okay.
So I did all the drums on their first record in LA.
Wow.
Yeah. So I met them through Ryan Seaman, who was at the time he was the drummer for Falling in Reverse, and he's a friend of mine from way back because we all toured together. You know, we're tour homies. So to make a long story short, with that, I was on tour, and I used to do vocal warm-ups with Michael. So we would, you know, I would like kind of coach him a little bit just because I had a little bit of background in it. And he's like, man, why don't you sing? And then I did like a random rock version of a Radiohead song and played it for him. And he's like, dude, you could front a band, like no problem. And I was like, I never thought of that. You know what I mean? It never crossed my mind. That was never part of the plan. Like, hey, I'm going to go be a lead singer.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then these songs just kept coming and coming. And like most of the songs are written in 15 minutes or less. Like I hear the music and they just come out.
Oh my gosh.
Like go ahead.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say like Tranquility was written in like 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you just come up with the melody? Because you said you don't play guitar, like, or you write it on piano too? Or...
Yes. So what I do is you know, it's like an executive producer type vibe. So I team up with, I like to bring in musicians that haven't had an opportunity to get any national exposure, you know, or someone that is, you know, just to give them an opportunity to get in front of people, you know. So I team up with like, for Burn, I teamed up with this awesome producer named Joseph, who now is doing like a lot of metal stuff in LA. And I'm so proud of him. Like he's doing some pretty big records. But when we started, we did it in his rehearsal space, which was like a 16 by 16 little room. It was his laptop and a vocal mic, and that's all it was.
Wow.
And he was a guitar player, so he wrote all the guitar parts.
Okay. And
then we kind of co-produced the whole thing together.
And he could probably follow your melody quite a bit. I mean, I've talked to a lot of artists that don't play it, but they'll be able to sing like melodies into like a voice memo and play it for people. And they're like, oh, that's killer. Let me, you know, come up with some chords or whatever. But dude, I didn't realize that you didn't start really singing until that, you know, further down, because your voice is killer. I mean, I was listening to the songs and I was like, whoa, like, you know, I thought you obviously probably, did you sing backups for Red Jumpsuit? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, so he's got to have some experience doing this because he's really good at it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I did sing backups in Red Jumps, and I'll tell you a funny story. So when we were recording Face Down, and this is a story that no one's ever heard. When we were recording Face Down, we were doing the woe part on Grim Goodbye, and they put me in the studio, and I went to go sing the woe part, and I was just completely off, completely out of key. And Ronnie jokes around. He goes, "I'm going to keep this recording for later so that I can show people." And I was like, "I got you, bro."
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, so fast forward, we did Time is the Enemy was the first major single for Kingdom of Us. And that was like 2017. And we were able to get it on like the top 40, like indie top 40 in the UK and Europe charts, which was really cool.
That's huge.
And you have to remember, this thing is literally just me. Like it's me and collaborations. Like there's no label, there's no management, there's nothing. I release when I want to release, and and that's it.
Still, you're still doing it that way?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, the record's awesome. And it has traction too. I mean, I would have never guessed that you really have that. It's just all you. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting ride because I'm also a stage manager with an awesome company called Generations AV in Houston, Texas. Okay. And we work directly under Live Nation and put on like most of the shows that people see in Houston, Texas. We're the production company behind it.
Wow. Are you in Houston now? Or are you in LA? Oh,
yeah, I'm in Houston now. Yeah.
Well, that's cool because I'm originally, like I said, from San Diego. My wife and I and our kids lived there forever, and then we wanted to move, and we almost moved to Houston. We came out there. We were looking. We love this area called Katy. Like there's like a little suburb. They had this dope little master plan they were building. This community out there, and we loved it. But we ended up moving to Nashville, to suburb of Nashville. But we loved Houston, man. That's a cool area. That's really cool. So that's rad. So you're doing that. You're still doing that, obviously, if you're working with Fitz. So I read on your bio that Kingdom of Us started on like with Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. Yeah. Like you're writing songs in the tour bus.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. The way that we did things is everybody in the band would try to write a song and then submit it to the singer for Red Jumpsuit. So like Elias, the original lead guitar player, he wrote like the riff for the first song on the second album. So he ended up writing like that whole song was kind of structured around him. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, I think I could write. So I started writing songs, and then I realized, no, I'm going to keep these for me. You know what I mean? So I started writing Kingdom of Us songs in like 2008, 2009 in the back of the tour bus at like 2-3 in the morning, just rocking acoustic guitar, rhythm, of course, because I'm not a super guitar player.
But writing songs for that eventually became this project.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you ever pitch anything to Red Jumpsuit, or you just kind of were like, I'm just going to keep this for myself?
I mean, I showed them a couple things, and it's also kind of a funny story. I also did like a private, I sent my very low budget recording ideas to Further Seems Forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Cause they were looking for a vocalist for like an album. I ended up not getting the part or anything, but I did do that. And that was like, I want to say like 2011. I can't remember what year it was, but our tour manager, Brad, was at the time, he was really good friends with Further Seems Forever, and they were looking for a vocalist. And he listened to some of my demos. He's like, "This is really good." He's like, "So send it to him." So that's kind of funny story.
That is because they had Chris Carrabba right in the beginning. Yeah. And then he left, and they carried on. They picked up again after.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what they did now, this is actually kind of cool. They're coming back together for the first time with their second vocalist, Jason, which is my favorite singer from that band.
Cool.
And they're playing About a Burning Fire, which is their second album. They're going to play that at Furnace Fest this year, which is kind of interesting.
That's huge. That's really cool. I love when bands are doing that, like coming back and then playing like a record in full, or doing a record that maybe someone's never heard all the way through. Like, it's so cool. I'm a huge fan of Alkaline Trio, and they did that. They did like 4 tours where like they would just do an album, or then one night they do an album. Like Taking Back Sunday did that recently, where they did like their first record and then the second one or the third one. That's always cool to me, because it's like there's definitely songs from those records that they probably have never taken the time to play live, or especially when they get kind of success. It's like they're not going to play, some of the deep cuts off of the second or third record, and then to hear them play it all in full, it's so cool.
Yeah. Hey, and to tie that in, like one of the plans that I have for Kingdom of Us that nobody knows yet, this is the first time I'll say it publicly, is I'm working on collaborating with some of my friends that haven't done stuff in a while. Like I really want to get some vocalists to do like what they call features on some Kingdom of Us songs. And I'm talking with a few guys right now about doing that, which is really exciting for me, because some of them haven't put anything out in a while. So I kind of want to like dig deep and find some guys to do some records with and do singles with, so that's exciting for me. My plan here is to release a single every 6 to 8 weeks-ish.
Okay.
Forever. For as long as I can.
Oh, wow. So you're just going to keep it as singles instead of going like, okay, I'm going to put together 12 songs and put a record out? Are you going to play more that way? Yeah,
I think for now I'm going to do singles and see what happens. If a company wants to get behind it, or if the team gets bigger, then we can start looking at like doing a full-length album. But I'm enjoying singles because the project, some of it is very EDM heavy, and I do top line for EDM artists. Like we teamed up with Keizo's label Welcome Records, and I did a song with an artist named Sin, and then I have another one that's about to come out that nobody knows yet, with another amazing artist that's in LA right now. That one's a surprise, but it'll come out soon.
Cool.
And then I'm also doing the more like rock stuff like Tranquility. So the plan here is just keep putting them out there.
I like it. I love it. The first song you put out was Kingdom of Us, right? It was like a title track to the project.
Yeah. So the first single was Time Is the Enemy, and nothing else.
Oh, Time Is the Enemy. But that came into like a collection, right? Which became an EP. Okay. Sorry. Tell me about this.
So it's a funny story. I was withholding the music from Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff, and I released Time Is the Enemy, and I went straight to radio with it, because I was thinking, okay, I want to get a label involved on this. I want to hold everything back. And then my amazing girlfriend in 2019, she goes, "You got these songs, why are they not on Spotify?" And I was like, you know what, you're right.
Good point.
So what I did, that was the beginning of 2019. So I did like a little plan to kind of like build it up, and I released like an EP in March of 2019, and it had Kingdom of Us on it, Climb, Time Is the Enemy, and Taboo Love. And Taboo Love was written for the EP release. So I recorded that on Valentine's Day and then released it in March.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you record it on Valentine's Day just because it was Taboo Love?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
totally
cool. That's really cool. Well, have you guys, you went straight to radio with it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And did you, like, at this point, were you thinking like, this is going to be a band and I want to, really take this to the next level and tour it and do everything at that point? Or was it like, okay, I got these songs, like, I'm not really sure where I want to go with it?
Yeah. I would always love to tour it, but for me, it's more about, let's see what happens.
Okay.
I'm just going to keep releasing music, because nowadays you can write and record and release music, and it doesn't cost thousands of dollars like it did back in the day. So for me, like, yes, I would love for it to become a band and take it on the road. And I've had a couple of offers, so to speak, for that, but the timing has to be right. And there has to be, right now I'm searching and trying to reconnect with the old Red Jumpsuit fan base.
Okay.
So I'm trying to bridge the gap and be like, hey guys, check this out. You know what I mean?
I feel like you're doing a great job of that with the songs. Like it does kind of not like that. It sounds like Red Jumpsuit by any means, but there is like, it is a bridging of the gap. Like you have some of the electronic feel to the songs, but it also has a real rock feel to the songs. And it's kind of like you said, you're doing the top line. Now it makes sense with the top line and all the others. It like really, it's a really nice blend of everything.
Yeah. And there's still millions upon millions of red jumpsuit in the world right now. Like in TikTok alone, kids are making videos dancing the face down all the time. And,
dude.
You know,
it's cool. This pop punk, like emo revival, man. It's so, I love it. I think it's so rad. And the fact that some of these songs like Face Down, for example, on TikTok is big, and how Simple Plan song came like out of left field on TikTok, and some of those pop punk songs are coming out, and it's incredible. It must be really cool to see how big of a staple Face Down has became in that. I mean, they still play it constantly on the radio, and you know, it's such a huge song. Did you guys know, did you know there was something special about it when you guys put it out?
I mean, for me, I didn't realize how special it was until all of the A&Rs at the major labels, that's all they were talking about.
Okay.
That's when I knew something was up. You know, that's when I was like, okay.
Oh, you're like, okay. Well, you said you signed a deal at 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what was that moment like? I mean, as having your dad like later come out and, you know, introduce you guys, or in being such a supporter of your music, like, do you remember calling him up and being like, I just signed like a major record deal, you know, we signed a Virgin. Like, tell me about that moment. So
it's actually kind of funny. The band kind of made fun of me because we actually signed on my birthday.
Oh, rad. Yeah. Happy birthday.
Yeah. So there was like an ongoing joke throughout the years that the band was not called the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. It was called Jon Wilkes and the Other Guys. Because I kept getting like, you know, little things like that. Like, oh, you signed on your birthday. Oh, you're cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, or just little things like that. Or like I became friends on tour with like Ben from Breaking Benjamin. And so I would bring those guys to our bus. So they were like, oh, John's being John again. Like he's friends with everybody. You know what I mean? So the joke was Jon Wilkes and the Other Guys. But that's cool. Signing it at 20 was, it was one of those moments where you've spent years upon years practicing your instrument. And finally you're like, this is why I did that. Mm-hmm. This is why I sacrificed hanging out with my friends. This is why I sacrificed surfing or skateboarding or whatever you were into. I sacrificed for the drum set, and the drum set got me this, you know, and it's a testament to people out there that are listening to this. Like, whatever you're passionate about, if you're passionate about painting, if you're passionate about drawing, if you're passionate about making music, if you're passionate about carpentry, go in 120% and you will get what you were looking for. And I'm a testament to that, because I never thought in a million years that I would not only sign to a major label, but, you know, to Google my name is the craziest thing to me, you know, because I've always just been a kid with two sticks in my hand.
Right.
So to be able to still be doing music at 35, and my whole career is based on either making music or stage production in music. So I'm still here, still doing music at 35, and I'm going to do it till the day I die.
I love that. I want to talk to you about the drumming thing, the 17 countries. Like, how did this idea come about, and how did you pull it off?
So, you know, I have been following a lot of awesome young drummers, and I'm all about the next generation of drummers. You know, for me, it's so cool. It's weird to think that I'm the old guy, but I am now, you know.
We're the same age. It's funny to think that too.
But a lot of these YouTube drummers are like 16, 17, and they're getting like millions of followers. And it just hit me. I'm like, no artist has ever given these drummers an opportunity to collaborate with the actual artist to do drum covers. So the idea of like releasing, kind of like when a EDM artist collaborates with like a collection of artists and goes, all you guys are going to remix my single, and then we're going to release a remix album.
Yeah.
It's the same idea, but for drum covers. So I went by myself through Instagram, and I messaged or emailed probably 200 drummers. easily.
Wow.
I was like, hey guys, this is John. I used to be in a red jumpsuit. I got a new single. The plan here is I want to, for the first time ever, get a group of drummers together and release drum covers on the same day and the same time that I release a single. And if you're in, just film your drum cover, and then when the time comes, we'll do an exact time and exact date, and you announce it to your audience, and then you release it on YouTube or whatever, and then you push it with us. So we all push together. And it ended up being 17 different countries. We had like 2 in Russia, like 3 in China, a bunch in the US, a bunch in the UK, Malaysia, like just to name a few countries just off the top of my head. But
yeah,
by the end of it, when I was in the middle of it, I counted everything. It was 17 different countries. And it was like, I want to say like between 30 and 40 different drummers released it. And all you have to do to see it is to go to YouTube and type in KOU-burn, and they all pop up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I was trying to figure it out. So I'm glad that you were able to clarify, because I was like, did they all do it at the same time? But no, they all released it at the same time, and it was all to burn. So you sent them like a copy of the song before it had come out and said, do what you're going to do. And then we'll all kind of get together. Did you have to like manage everybody to figure out, okay, how many people do we actually have? Like, or do you just kind of like hope for that everybody would follow the instructions?
Well, it was really cool because I had some really experienced guys that had like all of their stuff lined up in a row. They had like a whole studio, and they had already done like major drum covers. And then I had kids that had never done a drum cover. So I had to explain it to them, like, okay, so you take the song, and then you have to have headphones, and you play to the song, and then you get the audio of your drums, and then the audio of the song, and then you have to blend them together in a video program. So a lot of them I had to talk them through it and like help them mix and everything.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was a really cool experience for me to be able to, to talk with these guys and and give them any kind of advice too. When I was emailing with them, like, if you ever have a question, if you ever tour, and if you need anything, just email me. And that was the whole point of doing this, is to try to give them access to someone that's been there and done it.
That's so, dude, I love how humble you are, man. You are like for the amount of success that you've achieved, and like, you're just like, it's so cool to see somebody that just pays it forward like the way that you do. I just wanted to say, man, I really respect that. I think that's so cool.
I mean, it's so important, man, because like, it's the drumming community. I mean, we need it more than ever. There's a lot of guys that are doing great stuff, like Thomas Pridgeon, who was in the Mars Volta, and he's like a legend for for Zildjian and all these other companies. He's starting to do like online lessons, one-on-one lessons, which, I mean, come on, he's a living legend to a lot of these kids.
Yeah.
And for him to do
rad.
And like guys like Eric Moore are doing one-on-one lessons, Luke Holland is doing one-on-one lessons. And like Luke Holland is like, he's like the new godfather of the young generation coming up. Like, he's the guy that's just ripping right now. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And he's a little bit younger than me. I think he's like 27 or 28.
Okay. That's cool, because it's good to know too, because it's funny, when the whole COVID thing happened, I have a 5-year-old and he is wild. So it's like, I needed to find something to keep him entertained. So my wife and I bought him an electric kit. So he could so he has the headphones and he could hear like what a real kit sounds like. And he just could smash it. It doesn't, annoy the whole neighborhood. But I just haven't had a chance to get him in lessons. We moved, like I said, we moved to Nashville, and we haven't had a chance to unload everything. So his kit is still in our pod, but when it gets out, I want to find someone to teach him. Do you feel like lessons would be like, did you have lessons at all, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was younger, I had lessons, and then I trained in jazz, and I actually I turned down a scholarship to Berkeley back in the day.
Wait, what? Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you played through high school, obviously, and then you got offered a scholarship to Berkeley, and you didn't go?
Yeah, because I got in red jumpsuit right at the same time.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that makes sense. So looking back, that was a good decision.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
It was one of those things. I went to an arts high school, so I auditioned on drums and got into the arts high school, and that one was like a college prep school. So it's nationally known that if you go to this high school for your instrument, that you'll pretty much get a scholarship to college because of it.
Wow.
Because
what was the audition process for that?
Well, the school was called Douglas Anderson School of the Arts, and it's kind of a interesting, funny story. So all the guys that I went to high school with are now in the industry. One of them is Henry Bordeaux, which is one of the biggest, in my opinion, one of the biggest production managers and tour managers in the world. He works for Tyler, the Creator, right now.
Oh, geez.
He was my upperclassman, so he graduated the year before me. Kyle Ronan is another one of my good friends. He's the monitor person for Miley Cyrus. He went to my high school. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's rad. Okay.
Just to name a few. And then Ryan Key from Yellow Card went to my high school.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same with LP, the drummer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did you know Ryan Key growing up, or
off and on?
Okay.
He was a little bit older than me.
Older.
So I didn't know him that well. And then I'm trying to think who else.
He's a good guy. I interviewed him for this podcast earlier, or when you could still interview people in person.
Yeah. And the final thing I'll tell you about the high school, a lot of people don't know this. Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit went to that high school.
Did he really? Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like a legendary school, obviously. Yeah.
It's just it's an arts high school. It's a magnet school. So you have to audition in. So it worked out, to make a long story short, one of the drummers that played at a church that we were associated with just so happened to be the orchestra band director at the arts high school. So they were looking for drummers, and he came across me, and I'm like, at the time I was in 9th grade, about to go into 10th grade. And he goes, here's all the music, learn this, practice over the summer, and then come audition for me.
Okay.
So I auditioned, and I transferred from a private Christian school into the arts high school in 10th grade.
That's rad.
So, but that taught me all the discipline I needed to be on the road. And that gave me way more than lessons, because they were, it was like going to a dance academy. It was very strict.
Right. Yeah. It's like every day drum, music. It wasn't like after school for 30 minutes, some guy's going to teach you how to do a drum roll or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like
yeah. That's cool. I want to talk to you about the newest song, Tranquility. That's the one that you teamed up and did it's what's the organization called again?
One Tree Planted.
Oh yeah, One Tree Planted. So you've teamed up with One Tree Planted, and tell me about this. So you did some limited edition merch, and that would go to like the company, and they would plant trees and tell me about it a little bit.
So let me preface it with every single Kingdom of Us song is about things that we go through collectively as human beings. So the whole concept of the song is about us, not me, it's about we, it's about us. So Time is the Enemy was about falling in love and how to deal with that. Burn is the idea that we are living through life, not being passionate, but that we need to be, there's an awakening that needs to happen, that people need to follow their dreams again and not just settle into their 9-to-5s. That's a rough breakdown. Tranquility was about the fact that we are killing our home. It's a known fact that we're doing that. And I was lucky enough that one of my good friends, again, it all ties back to Jacksonville, my hometown. Her name is Becky, and she works with Cosa Nostra, the PR firm. And I teamed up with her so that I could meet you.
Oh,
and she's from my hometown. She just moved to LA in 2020. And it's such a small world that her and I were able to come together on this song. And I'm so excited and happy to be able to team up with her and that amazing company she works with. So every single, I think about the idea of what can we do to make this bigger than just a song? But what can we do to bring awareness to something? So I teamed up with One Tree Planted, and I even had a conversation with their board of directors and got the approval to do this thing. And they were all about it. They thought the song was amazing. They loved the fact that, because there hasn't been an artist that has just directly said, we're killing our home, let's do something about it. There's been artists that have kind of been we love Earth, we love our planet, but no one's been like, hey, our way of life is on fire. You know what I mean?
Let's do something about it.
Let's do something. Yeah, let's do something about it. So One Tree Planted loved it. And the whole thing was planned out we finished the recording in December of last year I think it was 2020? Yeah. In December of 2020, we finished the recording of the song. And then from January all the way up until release on Earth Day was all preparation. Like I had everything with One Tree Planted ready to go. We did the merch drop that was teamed up with One Tree Planted as well. Mm-hmm. And we got everything together. And you know what? It's awesome. I was able to team up with these really entrepreneurs, in my opinion. They're called the Sass Brothers. And they are these young guitar player, producer kids that used to play at NAMM mm-hmm. in front of all the rock stars. And they were like 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. And they were just shredding at the boost. And they never really got the exposure that I believe that they deserved. So I was like, we've got to bring you guys in and let's do a song together and let's potentially even do an album together. You guys are incredible. And I want the world to know who you are.
That's awesome.
So I did the song with them. They wrote all the music and I did all the vocals.
Oh, cool. So did you have the base of the song ready? Like, were you like, here's what I want to kind of do. And then they riffed around to it, or how did that work?
Yeah. So we had we talked through everything and I was like, okay, so you guys are going to send me, we're going to go back and forth because they're in Chicago and I'm in Houston.
Okay.
So we went back and forth until we got the music right. And then I demo everything literally in my closet. So
that's cool.
Yeah. With an iPhone, I literally just sing directly into an iPhone for all the rough demos. So we got the demo version done with all the vocal parts. Obviously it's like super rough. It's not,
right. Of course.
The public will never hear it type thing. But we got all those parts done. And then that's when I was like, all right, guys, we're ready. You guys go record the drums, the guitars and the bass and all that stuff. Get it to me and I'll do all the vocals and then we'll get everything together. And we were lucky enough that we had this amazing producer in Chicago who mixed and mastered it. Awesome kid named Andre. And he just blew my mind. He's doing a lot of up and coming bands right now. And then he got us connected with Chris Crummett, who does Dance Gavin Dance and like all these huge artists out of Portland. And he mm-hmm. mastered the single. So it's the first time that in my opinion, it's the most professional recording that Kingdom of Us has been able to put out yet because of the connections that happened around it. It just came together.
Kind of built around the song. Wow.
So it was a really cool experience for me, working remotely during a pandemic, and yeah, I mean, I think eventually we will definitely do some shows. That is definitely the plan. But I just don't know when, and I don't know how.
Okay. Still trying to line this stuff up. But I mean, obviously you have music. You said you have another song you're ready to drop.
Yeah, we have another single coming soon about how to deal with death and how to, what I dealt with my father. Mm-hmm. And here I am, he passed in 2014. And in 2021, I'm writing a song directly to him. Like he's speaking to me from the other side, and it's called Obituary. And it's going to be, everybody has to deal with that in their life. And this is an opportunity for people. I hope people use this song to be able to vent, to be able to feel like that their loved ones are still with them. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole point of this next single. I don't know when it's going to come out. And then there's another song called Return to Love. I'll go ahead and tell you the name. Return to Love. That's going to come out, I believe, on Welcome Records. We're still negotiating right now. Okay. And then if people want, I just want people to understand that $1, if you donate $1, they will plant One Tree Planted will plant a tree in your honor for $1.
That's so cool. So
there's, I'll give you guys a link so that you can go and donate. And we have a limited merch drop that is just associated with the single. And I'll give you the link to that. And for every shirt that's purchased, we give all proceeds to One Tree Planted.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
And so if you want to go to that, it's KOUrevolution.com/save KOU-her, or you can just go to KOUrevolution.com and you'll easily find it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And yeah, well, I'll definitely put the link up as well to people listening in the article we're going to put out like on American Songwriter on our website and stuff. So it'll be there as well. Easy to find and easy to help.
The last thing I'll tell you about One Tree Planted, in 2020 alone, they did over 20 million trees were planted during the pandemic.
That is incredible.
So this is something that is much bigger than any of us. Mm-hmm. And your $1, my $1 goes so far, because if we can all donate $1, then that's, they're almost to a billion.
That's a forest. Yeah, that's huge. That is huge.
They're almost to a billion trees right now. And, every dollar counts. And it's just, I feel so honored to be able to help out with that. So
that's incredible. That's incredible. And thank you so much for talking with me today, Jon. I really appreciate it. You've been so awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, man. I appreciate everything that you do for all of the artists, old guys like me and new guys coming up. And, for anybody that's listening to this, man, you can do whatever you want to do. Just put your whole heart into it.
I was going to ask you one more. That was my last question. I want to see if you can elaborate, even if you want, is just if you have any advice to aspiring artists. You kind of answered it earlier on, but I wanted to ask again, just.
Yeah. I mean, my advice to aspiring artists is, I need you guys to understand, when I was younger, I was on MTV. I did the whole thing. And even to this day, I'm still the guy that is going and finding the email address for the person so that I can get my song on on a playlist or whatever. Be a hustler, no matter what you do. Like, try to connect with someone that is doing more than you are, or that's on the level that you want to get on. Don't be afraid to try email these people. Don't be afraid to try to contact them. No is okay, but yes is awesome. Bring me back word.